Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Axolotl, a cute roguelite shoot 'em up. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer Two Awesome Studios, Axolotl released in September of 2023 for the PC, the Xbox, the PlayStation 4 and 5, and the Nintendo Switch, which is the version we're looking at today. So if you enjoy roguelike shoot 'em ups that are on the cute side, then I definitely recommend checking this one out, as I've enjoyed my time with it. Let's dive into it and you can kind of see a little bit of how the game itself is. So from the main menu, selecting play takes us to the save file select. You can have up to 3 save files here. And diving into my main save file, initially when you start the game you're taken to this really cute little tutorial which kind of sets up the tone for the game itself, and then after that we start in this hub area. Initially there's not much here, but as you play the games all these shops open up and it offers a lot of customizability for your gameplay, basically meta progression. So if that's your jam, then this is definitely your kind of game. So our controls are pretty basic. You've got your left stick for movement, right stick for aim, and we'll get into the others in just a little bit. So as far as elements in the I don't want to cover too much of the shops, but there's one part I do want to cover. So throughout the course of your run, you'll be uncovering other axolotls that you can ultimately raise up and change to. So you can select ones that are like raised, you can swap to them, or we can go and inspect them as well. So initially they start out in a baby form. You have to go and raise them up to teenagers and then finally adults. So this is our base axolotl. You can kind of see they've got your health, you've got your speed, and then they also have some abilities here. You've got, you know, it's like our axolotl has the ability to reroll items in chests. It has a active ability that we'll cover in a little bit. There are other ones that I've raised that I haven't like unlocked other abilities for, and then Goldie here is the one that I've worked the most on. So the Goldie is a chunky axolotl, so I have more health, some shield, but slightly lower speed. I have the snack active, which we'll cover in a bit, and I also have it specialized as a gangster. So like special weapons, or specifically SMGs are Goldie's like preferred at this point. So we'll switch to Goldie so you can kind of see that gameplay. Oh, and before we move on, just to go and show you what it's like to nurture or to raise one of the babies. If you click on them and when they have the nurture ability, there's like several short little activities you can go and do, like putting diapers on them or giving them medicine. It's just random, and that will raise up their affection. The affection itself can actually even act as a currency, which is pretty neat. But like I said, we won't go too much into depth on that. Throughout the course of your gameplay, you will also be unlocking weapons that you can select. So we do have the SMG as our weapon of choice for the moment, but you can go with a rifle, a pistol, a laser cannon even, or a shotgun. But where Goldie here prefers SMGs, that's what we're going with. Exiting the stage to the top takes us into the run, giving weapons to cute critters. It drops you right into the action. Before we get going though, I'm going to press start real quick just so you can see there's a nice little progression meter in the pause menu that shows us moving through the stages, ultimately getting to the boss, in this case World 1. I'm pausing. We can see here that we've got a button to go and shoot, and if you're using a controller, it's either the right trigger or the right bump will fire. In addition to that, we also have a roll, and then there's our active, which will be on the left trigger. So the active will ultimately trigger, or we'll be able to use it once we've dealt enough damage to the enemy. So that's something that's important to keep in mind. After you clear a room, then you actually have, if the room has multiple exits, you have the choice of going one direction or another, or in some cases up to 3. And depending on what the icon is, that's what will be the reward for that room. So this one will give us passive abilities. This one will give us additional health. Where we've got the difficulty set a little bit lower and we're chonky to begin with, we'll go for basically the relics. Some rooms will have really good power-ups, but will also be on the more difficult side, the diamonds in particular. We can even see ahead of time what we have there. Each stage does have some other specials that we can unlock as well, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. So opening this chest, we actually have some wonderful options here. This is a great chest. So we could go the shotgunner, increase your damage by 40%, but it decreases your accuracy. And when it says it decreases your accuracy, it really decreases your accuracy. There's also the butter knife, which is just a straight 10% increase, and then sticky goo. So you'd leave a trail of goo behind you that will slow down enemies. The butter knife is just the most straightforward of those upgrades, so that's what we're going to take. So here we have a few options. So if we go the food route, we can go and get some food, which is what you need to customize your axolotls back at base. There is that campfire in the middle. You put the food, you select your food from there, and then you can raise your teenage axolotls into full-grown axolotls with different stats based off of what you feed them. There's also this cookie here, which we can use to customize the axolotls to a certain weapon type. Or there's this question mark, which will just take us to a random, and we'll just give that one a shot. So you start with your default weapon, which has infinite ammunition but a reload time. So that's something to keep in mind. But there's also other weapons that we unlock throughout the course of the gameplay. You can have one secondary weapon, as it were, and you can swap between them with using a switch controller, the Y button. Reload, if you have your weapon that does reload, is the X button. And if you select weapons of the same type, so in this case the Pew Pewer is the same as what we already have, it will increase the ammo on that. Otherwise, there's no way to increase the ammo, you just have to swap when you run out. So here we've got some wonderful choices. The Doritos basically are our currency. We could go and die for another weapon, but we're actually doing really well with the Pew Pewer, so it's probably best to go with that. And we've got this diamond, which is the more challenging but more rewarding option. So we're going to go and pick this one. So instead of having a fewer number of waves, we're going to go and have more enemies, and there'll be larger waves. So I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I'll mention it now. So we do have a dodge roll in this game, and it works very similar to dodge rolls in other twin stick shoot 'em ups, where you can dodge through bullets and you're temporarily invulnerable while doing so. First wave defeated, now we're on to the second wave. So like with all these enemies here, we'll want to dodge roll through some of these bullets. Unfortunately, I did dodge roll into an enemy, but let's talk a little bit about the cute art that we've got going on. So admittedly, the characters themselves are all super cute. The axolotls that we're playing as, the enemies that we're playing as, but then you've got just that like brutal element where we're like killing them basically in cold blood just to get food. Yeah, once again, the opening documentary like cutscene kind of sets the tone. So when you clear a diamond stage, you get a chest that has both diamonds, which are your more valuable currency for your shops back at the base. In addition to that, you also get relics. So for this one, let's take this chili. So spicy, you generate a trail of fire. Pick that up, get our diamonds, and we'll go with even more relics. So I do have my active ability powered up. Let's see, it's the ability to regenerate 1 health. That is one thing that I do feel that Axolotl is kind of missing, is there's not enough health regen. So it kind of makes the game a little bit difficult in that way. So here we can gain immunity to explosions, get some additional life, or grab a shield. We'll take the helmet just for the explosion immunity. We could go for health recovery, which is what this like tea room is. Life or additional, not life, money or additional guns. So we'll go the money route. So we've got exploding bunnies, like frogs that are throwing boomerangs, squirrels shooting guns at us, these small little, alligators throwing themselves at us, and spinning like turtles. So the turtles are, not turtles, crabs. The crabs are invulnerable when they're spinning around, so you do have to be careful of that. So once again, you can see your progress by pausing the stage. So we've completed 6 stages, and we're on the 7th, I think. No, this is the 6th, and then we've got one more after this. Taking out that enemy, we get all this currency, and this is actually a good time to show you the shop. So the shop is that little money bag there. Going in here, we have the options of picking up additional weapons, or relics as well. This is based off of what's here. We don't have enough money to pick up, we don't need more ammo for the pew pewer. We can't pick up the battery, but we do have enough to pick up the lemon juice, which, if I remember correctly, is a shield. Guess not. Actually, we can't pick up anything here. You can talk to some of the animals, so we can talk to the shopkeeper here. In this case, this is the hyena Jack. Doraditos, that's the name of the currency. But going to the shop doesn't actually count as a stage in your progression towards, like, the boss, so that is something to keep in mind. Once again, we got some difficult enemies here. So these foxes in particular, I find can be quite difficult with their triple firing crossbow. Just like the way the shot fires and the range at which they hold themselves does make them a difficult enemy to ultimately challenge. Just about... Bam. Alright, with that stage cleared out, we have the room to the boss now available. So this is one thing that is a little disappointing in the game, but the roadmap for the future has promise here. So at the end of each biome, the bosses are currently static. So you've got one boss that you'll always encounter. So completing the first biome will always come up against Pond Pincher. The second biome is like Hello Kitty, so on and so forth. But their roadmap for the future does have alternate bosses and then more alternate bosses planned, so down the line that might be really different. Pond Pitcher itself isn't particularly difficult until we get to this point of the fight. It will roll around. It also has a wide shot that it throws at us that's easy to dodge, and then it has this section here where we have a bubble that we need to pop before it will continue. Then it pulls out a knife, but we do get some weapon drops during that, including this awesome Gatoringa, which is a super powerful minigun, but the recoil on this thing is crazy. Just look at how it just pushes us back on the stage. That's me pushing up with the stick. So this part of the fight is a little bit trickier, where those blades do bounce around. There's a brief cutscene at the end of a fight of the enemy, in this case, literally getting roasted, and that is World 1. You'll have a chest that you open up that usually has a good weapon as well as additional gems. Even though the Gattoringer is a better gun, we're going to change the Rat Volver, as I feel it's more useful of a weapon in the long term. There's an intermediate section between stages where you can collect fish from this poor fisherman. We're basically just being jerks of creatures in the animal kingdom. You can heal at the fire, and we move on to the next biome. So this biome, the first biome food-wise had leaves, basically salad, and this one has salt. And we also have new enemy types that are introduced, and the waves will be more challenging. So that's basically what we have here for Axolotl. Just real quick to go and show you a little bit more of what I was talking about with the food. So jumping back to the hub area, here we can cook additional food to raise up various axolotls. So I could just go and make a slightly spiced salad to give it the Xolotl class. We could go and do the slippery class, which is fast, but overall weaker, the chonky class, or we've got this greedy class that I have the ingredients to make. So let's go with a veggie fish. Once that's cooked, we can grab it and we can take it to a teenage axolotl, and then we can raise that axolotl up into adult. So that one will go and find this guy over here in the corner, give that the salad to him, and bam, I have another adult I can play as. This is the Axolotl Knight, and it's slippery, so it's going to be fast, but a little bit on the weaker side overall. And that is Axolotl, aka Xolotl, served up for your enjoyment. Definitely still needs a little bit of baking time. As far as negative negatives are concerned, I do feel that the game is a little on the grindy side at this point. It takes a lot to get the necessary food to level up the axolotls that you're raising, and the other ingredients to ultimately unlock the other meta progression sometimes are going to go and take you a lot of time to accumulate. In addition to that, I do feel that it's a little bit rough to get healing items, and I wish there was like more quicker unlock of additional abilities, like the melee weapons, for example. Here, this is the only one I have, is the katana available. But on the plus side, there's this is kind of runs counter to saying that the game is on the grindy side, but there's tons of content to unlock. All the various like shops have a lot of options to go and unlock. There's the elements of raising the axolotls and collecting the axolotls. You can unlock additional items for your like relics. You can even like have unlock additional weapons like back in like the hub area as well. There's just so much content that way, and the gameplay itself is really solid as well. If you like a really tight twin stick, then this one is one to go and like look into. And with it knowing that there's more content coming in the even like near future, it looks like they're planning even like kind of a Halloween update. This one I think is well worth your time to look into. That's AK Xolotl, served up for your enjoyment. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. As always, I hope you yourself have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.